Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to use one of the most used and famous hooks in React is useState. For that, what did I do? I created a folder and I dragged it to my Visual Studio Code, and then I did npx create React app to create a React environment. I also cleaned up a little bit, so in my SRC I have only app.js and index.js. Okay, so we are going to create a counter, a super simple counter, and we are gonna use our useState to decrement and increment our counter. Okay, the first thing that I need to mention is that all hooks in React, they work in function components. They are not working with class components, like function components like this, right? So the class components, they have something similar but a little bit different. Okay, and about useState, we need to execute it in the same order. We cannot have our useState in like a conditionally or inside of loops and etc. What do I mean by that? Let me show you an example. So first, let's get our useState. useState is just the function, so we have to call it, and we have to import our useState. We're already having this useState is not defined error, so we are going to import it. We are by just destructuring from React. Okay, so now we are not having this error anymore. So let's say I'm having like two useStates, right? And the first one, let's say I'm having it conditionally. So if, for example, true, I'm gonna have my useState. And I already see this error, right? useState is called conditionally. React hooks must be called in the exact same order in every component. So we cannot use it conditionally inside of loops and etc. So we must execute them in the same order as we are writing them. Okay, so useState, we can write like this, const array and then our useState, right? But usually we don't write like this. We destructure this array into two values. The first value is the current state. So as we are doing the counter, let's say it's going to be our count. And the second is the function that we can use to change our state, right? And here we are going to write the initial state. Let's say we are going to start from 0. Let's create our buttons that are going to help us to increment and decrement. This one is going to increment, and let me just copy this one, and this is going to decrement. Okay, and we also need to have span that is going to help us to see, right? So here right now I just wrote 0. Let's just see, okay, this is our counter, everything is working, but here I'm not gonna do it like this. I'm going to do it dynamically, so I'm going to use the count like this. Okay, and now I also have this 0 because my initial value is 0. Let's say if my initial value is 5, I'm going to see here 5. Okay, so when I press this button right now, nothing is gonna happen. When I press this button, also nothing happens, right? But now we need to change our initial value, our initial state, into something else. Like if I press the plus button, the increment button is going to be 6, 7, etc. Okay, so for this, we need to write two functions. The first function is going to be increment, which is going to take set count, and is going to do count, count plus 1. And we are going to do the same function, but that's going to be our decrement function, which is going to be -1, right? Everything same, but here. And we can see now is defined but never used. So now let's use these functions. Here on click, we are going to use here, we're going to use increment here, and here on click, we are going to use decrement, right? Decrement. Okay, here we go. Okay, now let's go back and let's see, is it working or not? I press the increment button and I can see that it's working. I press decrement, it's also working. Okay, let's say that I want to do like change the state twice here. So I'm going just to copy this and I'm gonna see what's gonna happen. I'm incrementing and I see that it's not working twice. It's basically overwriting each other. So it's gonna take 5 and does +1, so it gets 6. And then here it doesn't do 6 + 1, it does 5 + 1 again. So they're overwriting each other. To make sure we don't have this issue, if we are working with our previous state and changing and doing something with our previous state. So what we're gonna do here, instead of this way of writing it, we are going to use our previous count, and we are gonna do previous count plus 1. And we're gonna just remove this, and if I duplicate this, let's see what's gonna happen. We have 5, and I want to do, and I'm getting 7. So I'm doing 5 plus 1, I'm getting 6. I'm doing 6 plus 1, I'm getting 7. So it's doing what I wanted to do. So basically, this is the better way to write, because if you're working with a previous state, so make sure they're not just overwriting each other, they're getting the previous count and adding it, and then getting that added count and then adding again, right? So this is a better way. Okay, the same with decrement, everything is the same. And basically that's it that I wanted to show with useState. I hope it was useful, and just follow, write your comments, and I'm going to show more complex ways of using useState soon. Thank you so much. See you soon.